projects. We're based in Birmingham. We cover Coventry, Birmingham and Black Country. We work almost exclusively with destitute asylum seekers. So where to start? I'm going to go back in time to the 99 Immigration and Asylum Act, which I'm old enough to remember. Before 99, asylum seekers were housed by local authorities, National Assistance Act, all of that, if anyone remembers those days. Post 99, that responsibility went to the Home Office. They created NAS as an agency initially to do that. 2002 Nationality, Immigration and Asylum Act had a clause, section 55. Does anyone here remember section 55? No? Okay, I can tell you all about it. Specialist subject. Section 55 said you are only eligible for asylum support, housing and money, if you had applied for asylum as soon as is reasonably practicable. The reason I'm picking it up now is because it created, I think for the first time, a group of people for whom it was proper that they were left street homeless and destitute. That hadn't happened by accident. That was the correct application of the law as it was written. Because of section 55, which came into force in January 2003, all over the place, a number of people started turning up saying, I have no house, what can I do? This would have been the early days of balance. You know, it all happened around about the same time. One of the places that they turned up was at the surgery of Claire Short, who was the MP for Birmingham Ladywood at the time. And as a response to that, Claire gathered a group of friends together and they asked everyone they knew who had some money if they could give them some money to try and start a fund for destitute asylum seekers. The first two people who put money into the fund were Vince Nichols, who was the Catholic Archbishop of Birmingham, and John Sentamu, who was then Bishop of Birmingham, now, at least until the end of this year, Archbishop of York. So we had some money. By 2006, one of the people who was on the management committee, the group of friends who'd been gathered together around that, had a background in housing and started asking people that he knew who worked in housing associations if they could give us houses. And 2006 we got our first house. By 2010 we'd been given peppercorn rent houses from Midland Heart, what was then Mercian, Friendship, Yardley Great Trust, Bourneville Village Trust. Group of different, quite different housing associations had provided some money. 2016 we appointed a legal officer, 2017 a second housing support worker, so we had male and female workers for male and female houses. Most recently 2019 a wellbeing worker, so 5 part-time staff running this. We have 12 houses now, 35 bed spaces, almost all of them for destitute asylum seekers, and we provide financial support of about £20 a week to 60 to 70 people at any given time. No longer dealing with section 55, but after a series of legal challenges, the scope of section 55 was reduced, but the principle that there are a group of people for whom it is quite right that they're street homeless and destitute still exists. And that's the people, again, that you were talking about, people who have had an asylum appeal refused. And it turns out it's very easy to have an asylum appeal refused, even if you have a strong legal case, even if you have a well-founded fear of persecution. Because Home Office initial decision making is shocking. because the asylum system is just really complicated, because there's a lack of legal advice, and some of the legal advice that is out there is not of the highest quality. Some of it is really quite bad. And because people who've been traumatised don't disclose their stories necessarily in a way that neatly fits the asylum system. So the area that we cover, Coventry, Birmingham, the Black Country, I reckon there are, at any given time, low hundreds of people who are destitute because they are what's called field rights exhausted. Extrapolating that nationally, you're probably talking about low thousands of people around the country. Housing associations gave us houses. Why did they want to work with us? I think it helps to think about what Hope Projects does, and this has kind of evolved over time. But the purpose of Hope Projects is not to house destitute asylum seekers. The purpose of Hope Projects is to overturn flawed refusals of asylum and so help people escape destitution. It's to get people out of it permanently because of those poor asylum decisions. To do that, because the demand for our housing is significantly outstrips our capacity, we have to have criteria to decide who we're going to support. And one of the key criterion is the strength of someone's legal case. If we're going to house someone, we want to be able to see a path through to be able to help them get status at the end of it. Once we've housed someone, it's really important that they understand their legal case. It turns out that over half of the people that we support don't really understand their own legal cases because it's really complicated. Because they've just been given a big sheaf of papers, a refusal letter, in a language that is not their first language, that no one has sat down and explained to them and has told them, come back and see us in 6 months' time if you've got fresh evidence. So they're running around trying to find fresh evidence of some sort, and might not in any way relate to the reason that they've been refused. So we need to make sure that people understand their own cases. We need to make sure that they have a plan for putting into process the steps they need to try and overturn that flawed asylum decision. And we need to do the kind of well-being stuff to just build up the strength of people, because they've got a long fight on their hands. And if they're going to win, they need to be in a good state. And if people have got the knowledge and the strength, the inner strength to do that, then they can win. Without that, it's a really, really tough ask. So what we've got expertise in is not so much getting people into our housing, which turns out to be really quite easy. If you've got housing and people are desperate for it, it's easy to move them in. The harder thing is to move people out and move people out in a positive way. And that's something that I think we're better at than a housing association is likely to be. What a housing association is likely to be much, much better at is managing houses, because that's what they do. That's what they do all the time. It's their bread and butter. And so that, I think, is where there's the potential for really creative partnerships of bringing together those two strands. So I'm going to stop now and take questions. Yes?
I just wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about how you get people to understand their own legal cases and how to overturn them, and what kind of well-being activities
so,
you have.
I mean, this is something that's developed over time, and crucial to us is that we employed a level 3 OASC legal advisor, a chartered legal executive in-house on the staff team. And so anyone who is referred to us, one of the things that needs to come with that is their most recent judge's determination letter, the letter from a judge saying why they've been refused. And she can go through that and say, okay, there's something we can work with here. That's crucial. If you haven't got that level of expertise, whether you've got it in-house or you're bringing it in from outside, then you can't do that. and then the people that we are housing, she'll sit down with and do some quite detailed work about going through that, looking at what can be done to overturn that, looking at what creating a detailed client care letter which explains the case to them, but also a bullet point list of these are the things that you can do to gather evidence that really will attack this refusal.
And level 3 you think is really important, should be level 3?
Level 3 is really important. Now, it might not have to be level 3 that's doing that. Level 3 is the level that a solicitor is at. But if it's not level 3 that's doing that, I think it needs to be supervised by level 3, even if that's bringing in someone external to do that supervision and case review. Because bad legal advice can be worse than no legal advice. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Where do you get your referrals from? Who makes the most referrals to your project?
So all of our there's a group of 12 partner charities, and all of our no one refers directly to us, they all come through one of those 12 partner charities. The biggest one of which in terms of referrals is Red Cross. But it's a range, so they go from big charities like Red Cross, Refugee and Migrant Centre, to small specialist charities, Restore, which is Birmingham Churches Together, Baobab Women's Project. It's quite a range, and what we say from anyone who refers someone into us is that when you're referring to us, you're also pledging to carry on working with them while they're with us. So it's not like you let go of them now and they come over to us. It's about how we all work together to be able to do that. One of the real strengths of Hope projects is that there's a regular face-to-face steering group meeting, which actually makes the decisions about who we house. So Hope staff don't make that decision, it's the charities coming together who do that together. One of the real strengths of that is that it means that there's a huge amount of expertise in that room, and quite often, by the time you got to the end of the meeting, you've worked out how you can solve someone's case without even coming into Hope project. You said, wait a minute, if you look at this properly, there's a section 4 eligibility here that we can go for. So that partnership way of working is absolutely crucial to what we do.
What's your success rate?
So, if success, what's really difficult to know is how many people go on to get leave to remain. What's easier to know is how many people go on to get section 4. Yeah. So does that make sense to people in the room? Okay. Because that means you've put together further representations which the Home Office can't dismiss immediately. They're good further representations. They may or may not be accepted in the end, but they're certainly ones that have to be taken seriously. And last calendar year, we about 61, 62 people got section 4 because of the work that we've done. Either people that we housed or people that we've given financial support to who are being housed elsewhere. So I think that's good. I think that's a very good rate. What we don't want to be doing is leaving people stuck, because even good destitution accommodation is still a life on hold. You know, that no one's aim is to be in destitution accommodation. We want people to be able to move on beyond that and build a proper new life.